Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. August 10, 2019, the Malaysia Takes Action edition. First up, from the New York Times, the unfortunate continuation of lawsuits alleging sexual abuse in the sporting world continues as a fourth lawsuit has been filed against a prominent ice skating coach, Richard Callaghan. He has been sued by Adam Schmidt, a former skating student who filed suit claiming that he was repeatedly abused from 1991 to 2001 when he was 14 years old. The other defendants named are U.S. Figure Skating and a skating facility in suburban Detroit where Callaghan taught. Callaghan's lawyer was not aware of the lawsuit and had no comment. In the Just Say Nyet department, Russia has now opened an inquiry into Apple's anti-competitive practices. Russian officials have opened an antitrust investigation into Apple for restricting and removing parental control apps from its app store shortly after the company released its own competing service. This is the latest sign of growing scrutiny on the company, and certainly interesting that Russia, of all countries, would do so. You have to wonder why Russia would do so immediately after the Americans have done so. Are you a chief compliance officer looking for perhaps the biggest challenge ever? No, I don't mean going to work for Tesla, Wells Fargo, Volkswagen, or any of those other companies. But how about becoming the chief compliance officer for the new public company that the Saudi Arabian oil company, known as Saudi Aramco, is going to move forward with as it goes forward with its first public offering. Can you imagine having a compliance program for that company, and whether or not there would be any ability to put in a transparent business and ethics program? Nevertheless, it could be a fairly robust challenge. Obviously, if they go to the American market on the New York Stock Exchange, they're going to have something in place. So looking for a challenge, that may be the one for you. And finally, our lead story and title story today is Malaysia, which has taken action to file criminal charges against 17 current and former Goldman Sachs executives over the financial scandal at 1MDB. Malaysia is certainly ramping up the pressure, and unlike the United States, which didn't have the guts, wherewithal, or anything else to file suits, criminal charges against anyone in the 2008 financial crisis, Malaysia doesn't seem to have any of those problems in doing so. Malaysia is trying to hold these senior people criminally liable for the actions of their underlings, most notably Tim Leisner, the former managing partner at Goldman Sachs, who has pled guilty to violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Goldman, of course, denies all of these charges and says they will vigorously defend the cases. They said that they believe they're misdirected. None of the Goldman officials are in Malaysia, so it's going to be interesting to see if the United States will extradite them to Malaysia, or indeed any of their other home countries where they're domiciled. Nevertheless, it's a very bold and aggressive step by Malaysian prosecutors and points up once again the risk for regime change when you're doing business with a corrupt foreign government. I hope you will listen in Monday when Mike Volkoff and I premiere our new podcast, Why a Duck, where we talk about our love for the Marx Brothers and wrap it around compliance issues that we think are significant. It will premiere on Monday, August 12th. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio.